Hi, welcome back. We're reconvening on S.126, and I think we're on section 16.
Page 45.
Page 45.
Jen Harvey from the Office of Legislative Counsel. Yes, we are on page 16, section 16, bottom of page 45. This is adding to the Green Mountain Care Board's existing annual report requirements to require the board to include the status of its efforts on reference-based pricing. And then the Senate version said, and development of global hospital budgets. The House version says, and any considerations regarding the future use of global hospital budgets. And then we have this language again, the House had changed the effects on Vermonters and Vermont's healthcare system to the effects on increasing access, improving quality, and reducing cost.
So the issue there is global budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Regarding the future use of global budgets. Okay.
All right. Sections 17 and 18 are positions and appropriations. So section 17 is the positions. These have changed from what was voted out. So just as a reminder, Senate Health and Welfare bill, when you voted it out, had positions and appropriations. Those were taken out down the hall in the Senate Appropriations Committee. But language, numbers, money to support some aspect of it was included in the Senate version of the budget and then also included in the final version that passed both chambers. And we have Nolan's breakdown of that at the end of the side-by-side. It's a chart. But so section 17 as passed by the House creates 3 new permanent classified positions at the board in FY26. A director of reference-based pricing, a project manager for reference-based pricing, and an operations procurement and contractual oversight manager. So these are 3 positions in addition to the 3 that were in the governor's recommended budget. A total of 6 new positions at the board. And when Bill left Senate Health and Welfare, you were hoping for 8 new positions at the board.
Yeah, and I actually was reminded of that because, we had the long discussion about the global budgets, but it was Senate Appropriations that removed the positions, wasn't it, from the board for global budgets?
No, we just picked the money up and put it in the bill.
So it came out of Senate Health and Welfare, for the record, Bill, my office, so came out of Senate Health and Welfare with 5 positions. Senate Appropriations there, 3 positions. They weren't specific.
Okay.
And I think in time it was similar, it was like a procurement and a director, and it was like, it wasn't specific. Or was it?
I don't think it was specific. Yeah, I don't know that it was specific. I think it was just money.
It wasn't intentionally moving global budget, but it was
Just putting
it was just
3 positions worth of money in.
it was just reducing from 5 to 3 positions, because they were considered a total position.
And since they didn't have language that went with it, it wasn't specific, I don't think, to the positions.
Okay.
It's just placeholder for the larger appropriations for the bill.
Actually, there might have been.
I thought that
There might actually have been.
that the request was for reference-based pricing and global budget.
I'll look it up.
And then when it got taken from 5 to 3, that's
It may
when
have
they
been the
were sort
board. It
of.
may have been the board who said, we want the reference.
Appropriations did not take out the global budgeting
No.
piece at all. And
No.
or
No,
the recommendation for staffing for that. So just to be clear, it was to be consistent with what was in the budget, the governor's budget, and then to take the rest and put it into the bill itself.
Okay.
And I just missed the appropriation committee meetings.
Nolan, do you want me to wait or you?
I'm looking it up, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Move on, I'll come back.
Okay. Back to the markup. So that's again, the 3 positions there, and we'll see them show up in the appropriation section as well, section 18. That appropriates 2.2 million from the general fund to the Agency of Human Services in FY26, of which $2 million is for feasibility analysis and transformation plan development with hospitals, designated agencies, primary care organizations, and other community-based providers. $100,000 for development of quality and access measures, targets, and monitoring strategies for the statewide healthcare delivery strategic plan, and $100,000 to support the development of alternative payment models. It also notwithstands the HIT fund statute and appropriates $2 million from that fund to the agency in FY26 for grants to hospitals for the collaborative efforts to reduce hospital costs in accordance with sections 11A and 11C, and expand access to healthcare services, such as by enhancing telehealth infrastructure development. Then we have $1,062,500 to Green Mountain Care Board in FY26, of which $512,500 is for the positions authorized in section 17, and I get some of the breakout of that in a moment. $500,000 from the general fund for contracts, including contracts for assistance with implementing reference-based pricing, and $50,000 for a contract with BPQHC to engage in quality initiatives in accordance with the Act. And then of that, $512,500 for positions, it would be done through bill back, so 40% or $205,000 would be from the general fund and $307,500 from the Green Mountain Care Board Regulatory and Administrative Fund, which is where the bill back money goes into. And then another notwithstanding of the HIT fund statute, $150,000 goes to the Green Mountain Care Board in FY26 for expenses associated with increasing standardization of electronic hospital budget data submissions in accordance with section 4. Now, if you want Nolan to.
And Chair Black's correct, actually, the Senate budget was specific about one reference-based pricing director, one reference-based pricing project manager, and one operations procurement contract oversight. So it's the same language that's actually in the bills.
So it was contemplated in the Senate
Right.
budget. Okay.
And then the language for global budgeting takes effect on what date? When does global budgeting begin in the Senate bill? Doesn't begin until.
It was going to begin and starting in hospital fiscal year 28 is when they would.
So we can't appropriate for the future, but we can send it forward. And the contracts that are here were for reference-based pricing so that they could get up to speed on what to do.
I think the thought was that the board said they were going to need new positions every year for a
Right.
couple of years, so probably why everything was pretty. With the intent that we do global budgeting next year, the Senate will line point, they would come to new position.
And then we have the effective dates. So the section 16, which is the Green Mountain Care Board's annual report updates, says shall and should take effect on July 1st, 2026. Section 17 and 18 should actually take effect on July 1st, 2025. So we need to amend that. I put 26 thinking FY26, but that begins on July 1st, 2025. So we need to, whenever you pass out, we need to fix that. And then the remaining sections would still take effect on passage.
Can we agree that we'll change that date?
Huh?
Can we agree that we'll change that date?
You mean that
The-
effect on Pat?
No, the
That
26 to
positions and
25.
appropriations can take
Oh.
effect at the beginning of FY26. Which they should have.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
So, so we're going to hear from AHS regarding some of the reporting requirements.
I think AHS has concerns around section 10, section 11, and their reporting requirements. And I think that they are requesting that we align some of the reporting requirements to coincide with others. So would we like to hear from AHS now on that?
Well, we have time, we could
We
do
have
that.
time.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
don't we do that? It's a good
Okay.
idea.
All right. So, yeah, Eli, do you wanna sort of come up and walk through? I think we're both looking at a marked up version that,
I don't have a copy of it, but that's okay. I'll listen and I'll read.
Okay,
So page, section 10 begins on page 33 of what we have in front of us.
I am sorry, I believe section 8, the statewide strategic plan,
Okay,
not 10 or 11?
so on section 8, 10, 11, and 8 reports. Is that what you said?
Yep. I'm leafing through my 8 marked up. And let's actually just hear
Eli,
Eli on,
whatever she.
on where you're flagging. And I'm really most interested in section 10 and the effective date of the reporting things.
Okay.
That's what I'm interested in, perhaps.
If you could go through everything, you don't have to be totally specific, but give us the gist of what is in each section about which you have concerns. That
Okay.
would be very helpful. Okay,
Okay.
it's good.
Okay. For the record, my name is Eli Hallgood. I'm the legislative liaison for healthcare reform and for health information exchange for the Agency of Human Services. And so in AHS's marked up copy, which I've sent along to you, Chair Lyons, and is the same as what you have, Chair Black. So the pieces of reporting are aligned as far as the specific dates go. And so many of the pieces of these sections are a monthly report out. For example, in section 11A, there is a monthly report out on hospital transformation, as well as monthly report outs in section 11B regarding some of those outcome measures. And so reducing that into the same within a separate section at the back, as well as to condense some of the yearly reporting requirements. For example, the reporting in section 10, then it would be, I added that as an item 3 here, as well as reporting out on the progress of the plan was already contained within the section 15. And so some of the reporting within section 8 would then therefore be a little bit duplicative because we're coming in to update every year on the plan anyways. So that can be contained and simplified into one. As well as some of the updates regarding ACO. I had put, actually, that one I put into the temporary one because that will be a one-time update. But wanting to make sure that that these are simplified and so that we're able to really prepare for each of these updates because it's predictable, as well as for these yearly updates to give a well-rounded picture of not just, one item on November 1st and then something else on November 15th, and then the plan is coming February 15th, but to give a really well-rounded idea of the health care reform landscape.
Yeah, Tupper and then Martine.
The consolidation piece. And what would you do if you're starting something, let's say in January, and you had a reporting for something else in December? How would you do that? If you put them all together, certain things happen at a certain time. They're not started yet, so if they came on board, you would add that to the next report. Okay.
Yeah, so the idea of the way that I sort of stagger things here is because HROC is sometimes they meet more often than once a year, but they always meet
in that first Monday of December. And so that's a very predictable time to come in and
It doesn't always meet.
No,
they don't?
no.
Okay,
Can.
It's not reliable.
No.
okay. That's good to know. Okay. I take that back. But so, assuming HROC was meeting the first Monday of December, then that would give a reliable time to provide, to provide a report, the report, and then to have more of a report out and conversation, as the legislative session starts around, early January. And then, of course, we're always happy to come in and talk, as well, and have appreciated the opportunity, this session to come in multiple times with different folks from our team, to talk about different areas of subject matter expertise. Because I'm sure that you're going to be looking at a plan, which, be it a Word document or a PowerPoint like the Oliver Wyman report or something, some written item, and you're going to have a whole bunch of questions. And so to be able to come in and talk about those things, as well as to go back and get additional information and to provide an update, because the landscape month to month in our state is changing. And so we have those temporary updates as well, which for 2025, 2026, I'm sure that there will be there is a different update in December and then in January and then moving forward.
Super simple question as someone who's
We're
still,
very casual. in this.
yeah, someone who's still relatively new to this all of this. It seems like a report is understood. I get what a report is. We all seem to have an understanding of what a report is. Do we all have an understanding of what an update is? Can someone tell me what is an update? Is it a PowerPoint? Is it just speaking? Is it written? Is it, what is an update?
Yeah,
All of the above?
And the updates that we have in here, the monthly updates, is the equivalent of a one pager of what have you done this month? What are you working on next month? Where are you? I think that a lot of the concerns that many of us have had with the implementation of Act 167 is that there's not any accountability of telling us, what have you done? Where have you been? Where are you now? Where are you going? And I consider that a one pager. I don't consider a report a full, executive summary, table of contents. Just, I'm considering a report of asking us simply, where are you? Where are you?
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
I mean, many of these also include, wanting to know, we've appropriated money. We'd like to know how much of that money you've spent, what you've spent it on, and how much you have left. And that's accountability to me.
definitely. So it will be helpful to see what AHS is recommending. What I'm hearing sounds pretty plausible at this point. And regardless of what is in here for a specific reporting time, whether it's PowerPoint or whatever, we can always check in. We can always have check.
And we can always get the,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Harvey, Legislative Council. I think choose language specifically. I think update is meant to be a flexible term.
Yes.
Unless it says submit a written report, there's generally various forms that something can take, whether it's testimony or a PowerPoint or a one-page document or some other kind of way of conveying information, but it's intentionally broad.
Fabulous, thank you. Yep. Can I give an example, just so you know, an example of an update that's worked really well for the House Healthcare Committee is DMH does a quarterly update, which is exactly like Jen Carvey noted. It's very flexible and we get it from them. It's full of categories that we've kind of given them that we want to hear updates in, and they give it to us kind of as needed. So they have a template that works really well for us for their topics, just as an example.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, different departments give different, so,
Yeah.
DCF is giving us quarterly updates, monthly updates.
The difference is, we've put the Agency of Human Services kind of in charge of making sure they keep us up to date on what's happening.
Right.
So that the reports are coming from them and not the different agencies
But I
or
would,
the updates.
Got it.
but I would imagine that the updates will be coming and or the report will be coming from the people who are actually doing the work. So, okay, so if you can submit to us, please, your exact,
What's your recommendation?
what your recommendations are, and then, and have copy our legislative council on that.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And then, if I may, some of the reporting that AHS would suggest is a little bit of a simplification of those reporting, because we do care a whole lot about keeping everybody updated and being accountable, but also want to be sure that we're balancing our resources to be able to be doing the actual work as well. And so wanting to be good stewards in regard to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Today.
All right, so do we want to start at the beginning? I know that you had flagged as we were going through with various items that you may come back to.
Well,
Do we want to start closing sections? Should we
Uh,
start at the beginning and close sections?
we can try to do that. We've met very briefly and closed a couple of things. Outstanding for us, obviously, is the global budget piece, which is huge for us.
Okay.
And then also, we've been having a conversation about the primary care steering committee that it's in here and how to best effectuate primary care recommendations within the plan. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit as a conference committee. We'll bring a recommendation.
Section by section.
Yeah.
Do we want to do section by section?
In a minute, yep. So I just wanted to point out to you some of the concerns that we have. One are the number of the proliferation of committees and how those committees fit in with all the other proliferated committees. The advisory committee for the plan is one thing, but making sure that the advisory committee for the plan also best integrates primary care as you and we all, I think, expect it should. So that's a concern. Global budgeting is a huge concern. For us, I don't believe that we should continue only with reference-based pricing without having some global cap on hospital expenditures. So those are the two big ones, but then if we can go back through section by section, the reporting piece that we just heard about, the number of reports is huge. So if we can go back through section by section, and I'll give you an idea of where we are at this point with thinking about the language that you have.
Okay,
We do that?
Jen, you want to come up and we'll just start and let's,
And Jen can help because we did go through some of this earlier.
Yep.
Our little
and
joint.
where you specifically want changes, you will,
Yeah, I don't have language. I just have,
well, we don't have to have language, but maybe if we can at least pass over the things where you don't have okay? So,
do you want to correct me if I'm wrong? She does a really good job. Or do you want me to correct you? So looking at purpose and goals, I think we can agree with all of those purposes and goals, with the exception of number 3, where you've struck global budgets.
Okay,
And then moving on to page 2, we've decided to preserve the dignity of healthcare. We can leave that.
oh,
We we discussed it through and there was some rationale. Senator Douglas was very helpful with that.
Okay.
So was Senator Rulick. Then, we have not, then, page 3 is again, the global budget piece for us. Then on page 5, we're fine with taking out underserved individuals and populations in areas, not taking them out, but taking that particular language out.
You're okay with?
We're
taking out the
okay,
language?
we're okay, we're okay.
Alright.
Then, payment versus prices seems like the right thing to do. On page 6, we're good with that. And we understand that the site neutral piece being struck, so we're okay there. And on page 7, we're fine with B. On B,
Right.
okay? We are fine with, using an alternate payment or pricing system where appropriate. Okay with that. Page 8. I think we're okay with that, and we're okay with striking language in B. Because it's somewhere else, I think. Yeah. And then we're okay with the B that's there. The new B.
The newbie.
The new B. Then. Okay, this one on the Green Mountain Care Board and the primary care. Huh?
Page
Which
9.
section?
We're on 5.
Page 9, number 5, which is with regard to the,
Yeah, we have different copies too.
Oh,
So
shoot.
we're not working on the, but.
oh, okay.
That's why I asked. So,
Oh, no, I'm sorry about that. Where are you? What do you
It's in
need?
Section 3, section 3, number 5.
Yeah, section 3.
Section.
So this will be a point of discussion with the
Okay.
primary healthcare steering committee and how to deal with that. We've had a bit of a discussion on it. We're making progress.
Okay. Are you fine with all the language other than as it pertains to the future sectioned primary care?
I think we are, but yeah, pretty sure we are. We check off B on page 8, well,
Yeah.
the new B, 3B. And then we're on 3.5, and that's the one we're still talking about. And, yeah, so we're okay with the language at the bottom from 14 in 5. And 6, okay? And then the definition of hospital network, okay? Then we have not talked hospital duties yet. All that language is struck. And we're still figuring out a strategic plan. Okay. We'll sort that word out. And we did have a conversation earlier here with the number 9 on page 11, which is the proposal for hospital duties as well as for the number 7 in section 5, how they work together.
I'm sorry, what page of your marked up version?
Markup version, page 11, so we
Right.
haven't really.
Yeah, we
agreed
have,
any of
so
that.
you haven't.
Not
we
yet.
haven't talked about
No,
section.
not yet.
Okay.
And then, page 13 of marked up, or with section 5, number 7, sort of similarly, haven't finished that discussion there.
Okay.
And then moving through to the global budgeting piece, which is section,
It's the B little I.
it's B little I, D, B little I, page 16 of the marked up version. I don't know what section that is.
Yes, I mean, there's obviously
Section five.
several references.
Anything
to
about-
global budget.
You got it.
Yep.
Then, no less than 45 days, that seems appropriate.
Right.
And there was an agreement with that anyway out there.
Yep.
Then hospital network structure of financial operations, I think, section 6. I think that should be okay.
Section 6, I'm sorry, 6.
The crossed out,
Crossed out was just moved and then.
yeah, just that definition.
In the take.
Move somewhere. Yeah, we moved it. You moved it. And then, yes, and on the network, we'll agree with that on D,
Okay.
section 6. 2D, no,
Yep.
just D, just put a D. And then. So on this one, we said we'd agree with this one, the contracted confident, yep, no, that's fine.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
just the story.
Yeah, that's fine. Then we're talking about the primary care healthcare steering committee still. So that whole section there, 8, with the,
Plan.
with the plan, and it includes includes something there about the primary care piece. So with that plan, we're not finished talking about that yet.
Okay,
Back to you with that one.
so I'm sorry, you're not finished talking about the plan?
Or the primary
or the
care
primary
theory.
care.
We're trying to-
One or the other, or
Both.
both.
Oh, we're trying to figure out how to really, it's our understanding that primary care would like to take a very visible and high profile role in the planning process and other, we're trying to figure out how to do that. Because we don't just want, we've got this primary care, this primary care, this primary care. I can count 3 at least. And they all make recommendations. The goal is to have those recommendations carry meaning. So we're trying to sort out how to do that. We'll see what we can do.
Okay,
You probably. All right, okay, on back. H under Bill 8, number 8, which is part of the
Page of
Plan. number,
Page,
I'm on page of the markup on page 23.
that's right.
You got it?
there.
yeah, oh, yeah, we got the,
If we all had a different one, this would be real.
I know,
Okay, so we're okay with that. We're okay with I,
okay,
okay with 9A and B.
Yep.
And there, I hear our bell ringing.
Yes.
So can we hold this right here? Can we stop?
That's on
Yeah.
page 24.
Yeah,
on
we'll be
C.
back with some stuff.
okay. You don't want to finish up this one section real quickly? Section 8?
I don't know that we can,
Okay,
because I've
I
got a
didn't know
little,
you got a lot of,
I got a lot of
okay.
things to go over here. There is a report that you've asked for from the Department of Financial Regulation.
Yeah.
11D, section 11D.
So section 11D, and while it's fresh in my mind, in our minds, could we turn to that
Of
briefly?
course.
Which page?
It is on page, I think it's 42. It is 42. So we're looking at preserving sustainability of domestic health insurers in Vermont, which may include utilizing reinsurance. Could we also ask about looking at other perhaps regional options? Because right now it's domestic insurers who are in the greatest trouble. And so are there other things that the DFR can look at?
To make,
sort of,
guess I'm not, are you talking about insurance across state lines? Is
yeah,
that-
regional, some of the
I mean, it
regional,
would be, it's a very different topic. If you want them to, I mean, if that's of interest to the.
something to think about.
You can
yeah.
think about it, but I think
They have any
this is,
authority whatsoever.
Think about it.
this is focused right now, at least on Blue Cross Blue Shield is really,
Right.
that is the domestic health insurer and how do we preserve their sustainability?
Yeah,
Do we want to ask the DFR to
If-
plan for preserving Blue Cross Blue Shield of Maine? I'm not sure why we would
Of
wanna.
work, having our Blue Cross and Blue Shield have some regional connection that would help them survive. I don't know. We'll think about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
remember they're hooked into Michigan too right now. They're hooked into Michigan right now too.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right, so we will have to come back to this. I'd like to, 8:45 tomorrow morning. Can we all make it here by 8:45?
I think, I can do that. You could do that.
Okay.
I'll be wrong, I bet at that hour.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
Do 8:45.
So
The more we can move along on this, the better.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
So 8:45 tomorrow